Did Brian Laundrie's mom, Roberta, actually say she would help him bury a body with a shovel and garbage bags? Let's get into some Gabby Petito case updates. Hi everyone, Empowering True Crime, Alex here. Yesterday, there was a hearing in the Gabby Petito case. And before we dive in, if you like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more empowering true crime news and updates on the Gabby Petito case. Just for those of you that don't know, Gabby Petito was a 22-year-old young woman from Florida who went traveling in a van across the country with her then fiance, Brian Laundrie, who had actually murdered her after a few months on the road. He came back with her van and ended up unaliving himself within a few weeks after returning. So the point of contention between Gabby Petito's parents and Brian Laundrie's parents is that the Petito's parents believe that the Laundries knew that Brian had killed Gabby and had actually even, were intentionally, like, they have the right in Florida to not speak. Defendants and parents of defendants have the right to not speak. They could plead the fifth and not speak if there's something that's incriminating. And so they chose not to say anything as far as giving information on Gabby's whereabouts. Now, there's a point of the actual point of contention is this statement that was made by Stephen Bertolino, the Laundrie's attorney. And this was the statement. This is understandably an extremely difficult time for both the Petito family and the Laundrie family. It is our understanding that a search has been organized for Miss Petito in or near Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. On behalf of the Laundrie family, it is our hope that the search for Miss Petito is successful and that Miss Petito is reunited with her family. On the advice of counsel, the Laundrie family is remaining in the background at this juncture and will have no further comment. So Gabby was reported missing on September 11th, and this statement by the attorney was made on September 14th. So it's that second paragraph about the whole hope of reuniting Gabby Petito with her parents, with her family, the fact that they said that with the knowledge that Brian had killed Gabby, that was basically adding additional intentional emotional distress on the Petitos. And that's Joe Petito is Gabby's father and Nicole Schmidt is Gabby's mother. So right now there's a lawsuit that the Petitos have made against the Laundries. And there's on the table right now, there is Stephen Bertolino, the attorney, is actually a co-defendant in the lawsuit. And so in yesterday's hearing, they were trying to dismiss the Steve Bertolino as a defendant. And so one of the really weird arguments that the defendant's attorney made was that statement that said that they hope that Gabby can be reunited with her family did not actually refer to her like alive. That it was general and it could have been made for a deceased person. And even the judge gave a little pushback on that. So let's take a listen. We're on WFLA. They live streamed it yesterday. Let's take a listen to the Petito's attorney, Pat Riley, giving his rebuttal.
I'm frankly surprised that both defendants have suggested that the term reunited is subject to interpretation. They suggest it could mean the person is not alive. And they cited two various articles in which remains were reunited with a family. But the statement doesn't say, we hope the remains of Gabby Petito are reunited with her family. It says, we hope the search for Miss Petito, not her remains or her body, is successful and that Miss Petito, not her remains and body, are reunited with her family. Frankly, I think the defendant should be embarrassed for raising such a ludicrous interpretation of their own words. And by the way, if those words are subject to various interpretations, that's left to the jury to decide what it means based on credibility rule.
Okay, so yeah, I wanted to say that. I mean, that was something that makes them look super guilty. Like they did definitely know that that Brian had killed Gabby at that point. Now, another matter that was discussed yesterday is the protective order on a motion of protection for the letter, the burn after reading letter that has been widely, talked about. And it's a letter that Roberta Laundrie allegedly wrote to Brian, she says, before Brian and Gabby left on their trip. And she wrote in an affidavit, and I'm paraphrasing here, but that it was some words, sentences, and phrases meant to show a mother's love. And it went to the extent of saying that she would, if he needed to bury a body, that she would bring a shovel and garbage bags. If he went to prison, that she would bake a cake with a file in it. And so the Petito's attorney had read the letter way back a year ago when the FBI provided all these different these different items and effects to the families. And so he was just going off of recollection. And so part of this is that they're arguing that they want this letter as discovery in the lawsuit so that it's discoverable, so that they can use it, they could discuss it in the trial. And the Laundries are saying, hey, this is really embarrassing, this letter. And I don't want it to get out because then people are going to misconstrue the words and phrases that Roberta Laundrie is making to Brian. And so the attorney for the Laundries begins his remarks, and he starts talking about said letter and what's in the letter. And the Petito's attorney is like, hey, I can't respond if I don't see the letter.
Your Honor, the letter doesn't mention Gabby at all. Judge, how can I respond to this if I don't see the letter?
Well, first of all, Your Honor, I would note that Mr. Riley has seen
I don't. That was well over a year ago, and I don't have.
He has a point.
So when the Petito's attorney, Pat Riley, went ahead and gave his rebuttal, his remarks, this is what he had to say.
As the court well knows, we're not suggesting that the letter caused emotional distress to my clients. We're suggesting the letter, if determined to have been written after Gabby passed away, is proof that they were aware that Gabby passed away at the time that the statement was made on September 12th. That's the importance of the letter. As we all know, the letter references burying a body, bringing a shovel and burying a body, baking a cake and putting a shiv in it. Those are criminal acts, by the way, that Roberta Laundrie has said she would commit. But those words are in that letter.
I don't think shiv is in the letter,
or then a saw or something, baking something in a cake. And by the way, her reference in her affidavit to these children's books that as try to explain why she wrote that letter to her son is ludicrous, because there's nothing about burying a body or bringing a shovel or putting something in a cake if somebody goes to prison, although Mama Bear did say she would bake Little Bear a cake on his birthday.
Okay, so good arguments there from Pat Riley. The other matter that was brought forth is the confidentiality of the letter. So if they were going to allow the letter to be discoverable, the attorneys were talking about whether or not they felt that it should be confidential.
I agree with you, Mr. Riley. What argument would you have against a confidentiality?
Why I have no reason to agree to a confidentiality agreement. I mean that hampers me. Why would I agree to a confidential? So then, if I'm asking her about it in a deposition, so now the deposition transcript is going to be confidential as well, or a portion of it. I mean, I don't see a reason why I need to be hamstrung. We're not talking about financial information, which would be the appropriate subject of a confidentiality agreement. We're not talking about trade secrets. We're not talking about something that, if is disclosed, is going to give some party an advantage, an outside party an advantage in moving forward, such as if trade secrets were disclosed. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a letter in the handwriting of a party.
After that.
Your Honor, I think at this point, we probably wouldn't be in favor of a confidentiality agreement on this issue either, just because Mr. Riley just put probably the two worst parts of the letter on the record in open court. So, I mean, and that's what we would be dealing with that throughout the litigation. I mean, he can.
Okay, so you just want me to rule that?
I think we just want you to rule.
Okay, very good.
He seems like at this point really defeated. And like maybe he knows that he's kind of like on the losing end here. That's the attorney for the Laundries, Mr. Luca. And so, yes. So what ended up happening then is that there was one ruling that was made. And let's go ahead and listen.
At this time, I am going to be denying the defendant's motion for the protective order.
So the last part that we have pending still is the rulings from the judge. Stay tuned and I'll make an update once we get those rulings back. If you enjoyed my coverage of the Gabby Petito case, my style of covering true crime, you really want justice for the victims, advocacy, being the voice for the voiceless. If you did like it, if you learned something, I'd appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up. Of course, subscribe to my channel, hit the bell for notifications anytime I go live or post. And with that, keep it empowering, stay safe, and stay thriving. Bye for now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button for notifications. Thank you.